there's one thing that's important to build muscle or to lose fat is knowing exactly how much and what you should eat on a daily basis. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can calculate your total calorie targets and your macros for the day in under 5 minutes. And if you find this type of content useful, I would madly appreciate if you could drop a like or subscribe to the channel. So let's dive right in. So the first thing we have to do is get an understanding of how many calories you need to eat according to your target. If you want to lose fat, you want to be in a caloric deficit, meaning you eat less food or consume less food than your body burns. And if you want to gain muscle, you want to be in a caloric surplus, where you are eating or consuming more food than your body burns. There's multiple ways to do it, but in this scenario, I'm going to take a total daily energy expenditure calculator, a TDEE calculator, which I conveniently have a link in the description below that you can use to get your total calorie target. What I will do is ask you a few simple questions. Are you a male or a female? You put in your age, you can put in your weight and your height, you fill in your activity level. So if you train 5-6 times a week and you have an active job, you might be in the very active or extremely active category. If you have an office job and you're training 3 to 4 times a week, you might be in one of the top 3 categories. So I'm going to be for very active, and then it will calculate your maintenance calories for the day and gives you, depending on the goal you select here, calories for your target. I've just filled in my details here, and this is the result you're going to get. So you'll see what is your maintenance calories, or in other words, your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, which is for me 3088 calories, which seems accurate enough. And then here, when you scroll down, you will see that my calorie targets for fat loss is 2,788. That's about 300 calorie deficit, which is quite a conservative deficit. The calories listed here as my fat loss calories are what's going to be my target calories for the day, which I'm going to use in my spreadsheet. I'm going to use this Google Sheets to calculate macros, and that's going to be the basis of our meal plan. 2 things that you're going to need are your body weight and your total daily calories that you've just calculated using the calculator. And then I've preloaded this with the protein and fat macros, which we're going to use to calculate how many grams of protein and fats you're going to eat every day. There's lots of research studies coming out that have shown that you need at least 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight of protein per day. And I think it goes up to 2.2 or even 2.4 grams per kilogram to build muscle and to maintain muscle if you are in a fat loss phase. So I'm going to sit at 1.8. I feel that's a very decent common ground from my experience. And then we have our fats, which are an important macronutrient for your body, as it's playing a key role in hormone production, among other things. And we never want this to go below 0.7. So I've set it here at 0.7 grams per kilogram of body weight. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fill in your calorie target, which for me in this case was 2788, and my body weight is 79 kilos. So now we can calculate proteins, the fats and carbs, and in this order. We're first going to start with the amount of protein, because protein obviously is a crucial macro for muscle protein synthesis, which is the process of recovering and creating muscle adaptation. In other words, building more muscle after a sufficient stimulus has been applied. In other words, when you've done strength training at a sufficiently hard intensity, meaning you go close to failure, your body will get the signal, there's damage done to the muscles, I need to recover, I need to make sure that these muscles get stronger so that next time I'm going to do the same exercise or the same activity, your muscles are more capable of doing so. And this will lead at some point to progressive overload, where you get stronger over time, and so adding more muscle mass. Very simple. We're going to do your body weight times our protein target. So it's 79 times 1.8. That will say we need about 142 grams of protein. Then we are going to do fats, multiply that 79 kilos by the 0.7, and that will give us a fat target of 55 grams. Now we can convert this to calories. 1 gram of protein is 4 calories, so we can do times 4, so that's almost 570 calories, and 1 gram of fat is 9 calories, so it's a much more calorie dense macronutrient. It's close to 500 calories. Now what we have left is our carbs, and I do this on purpose. As I said, proteins and fats are much more important. They're essential macronutrient, whereas carbs are not essential. They do help in provide energy, and I'm definitely not keto or anti-carb, but they are biologically, physiologically not essential, in the sense that it needs to build muscle. It doesn't need it for hormone production or the vital processes that your body has. So here in this case, we are going to calculate the leftover calories here. So we're going to do 2788 minus proteins minus fats, which will give us a total calories of 1722 from carbohydrates. Similar to protein, carbohydrates do have 4 calories per gram. So we can then divide this by 4. That's the calculation of our macros. So we've calculated that we're going to need 142 grams of protein per day, 55 grams of fat, and 430 grams carbohydrates. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that research has shown over and over again that the ratio between your fats and carbs don't matter as much as your total calorie and protein intake for the day, so long you stay within your calorie target. So naturally, if you are going to increase your fats, which is totally fine, so long you don't go batshit crazy on it, you need to reduce your carbs. And keep in mind that 1 gram of fat is 9 calories, which is double the amount of a carbohydrate. So it becomes a bit of a puzzle if you're going to change your carb-fat ratio on a day-to-day basis. But as long as you control your total calorie and protein intake for the day, it doesn't really matter. So there you have it. You know exactly how many calories to eat, how many grams of protein, carbs, and fats. But keep in mind, using a TDEE calculator is always an estimate. From here on, what I would suggest is to follow the targets that you've set, track them in a food tracking app such as MyFitnessPal or MacroFactor, weigh yourself regularly, ideally every morning after your bathroom visit, and see how your body weight progresses week over week. Now, if this is not progressing in the way you want it, you can increase or reduce your calories so your body weight starts to progress in the direction you want it to be. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below and I'll gladly answer them for you. See you next time.